If you're an entrepreneur who is stuck and wants to scale their business, we are going to reveal the 3 hidden levers that are going to allow you to grow your business with less stress. I'm here with Coach Galel Fajardo, and we're going to dive deep into how he has helped some of our clients scale from $2 million to $10 million and more. All right, Galel, before we dive into the tactics and talk about some AI and all that sort of cool stuff, let's talk about some of the success stories that you have helped with here at Early to Rise Coaching, especially with Kelly and Bob.
Yes. All right. So Kelly owns an online business, education business, and she was working a lot of hours, didn't have systems built in place to be able to help hand things off. Everything was falling onto her shoulders. And so we did an audit, figured out where she could get her time back, put in a system so that she was delegating more often, automating what she could, delegating, and then eliminating things from her plate. She got back so many hours from her time. I want to say she's gotten back 12 to 14 hours per week while doubling her revenue. So that right there has been absolutely massive.
What are some of the common reasons that entrepreneurs like Kelly hold on to things?
Because they mistake activity with productivity.
Yeah, okay.
So Kelly is somebody who really enjoyed the graphic design element, liked editing videos, but her zone of genius is not in doing those things. Right? One of the terms that we use with our clients often is figuring out your zone of genius. Like, what is it that the work that pays you $1,000 an hour versus stuff that you could pay somebody else to do for $10 an hour?
Right.
And so Kelly was finding herself doing that $10 an hour work when she really needed to be focused on that $1,000 an hour work. So by helping reduce her calendar from eliminating those $10, $12 an hour tasks from her plate, it allowed her to focus on things like creating courses, creating content that would attract the customers that she would then sell to.
Yeah, and then one other thing with Kelly before we switch to Bob is that she had a bit of a mindset around selling that you helped her.
Yeah.
And coordinating and improving her launches. And so walk me through the evolution of how she was making X amount of money for a launch, and then what she did in her last one, and what changes happened in between.
Sure. So she was averaging around $20,000 to $30,000 per launch, which is great. It's great money for anybody who's watching this, right? However, what was happening was she had real hesitancy around selling. She was coming from a very polite standpoint where I don't want to be bombarding people and selling too much. And I said, Kelly, people are very distracted. People need to see your message in front of them often, early and often, right?
And because she was selling something that can really help people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Health-based education product. And so what we did was we increased the number of emails that she was sending out to her list, also leveraging certain AI tools. It wasn't just telling ChatGPT to write an email for her, but there was a very specific process that I walked her through to create those emails so that they were driven for direct response advertising. Then we increased the volume of emails. So again, leveraging AI didn't take her as much time, increased the volume. So working now less hours with AI and more output, that resulted in one of her latest launches after implementing that system, a $46,000 launch.
Right.
So well above what her average was, almost double what her typical launches were.
Yeah. So now we switch gears and go from an online business to a guy that, old school business, Bob Ferguson's been a part of for years and years and years, and was stuck at $2.5 million.
Yes.
And, they sell some lighting systems to construction sites, et cetera. So nothing sexy at all.
No.
And so Bob came to us and he took over the business, but he was stuck.
Yes.
But since then, he has had incredible results. So tell us about his results and then walk us through what were the major frameworks that we put in place that allowed him to do that.
Sure. So to talk about Bob first, it would be unfair to talk about his business without first talking about himself and what his priorities are, what his mission is, right? So Bob is very mission driven, just as Kelly is very mission driven in the previous example, but Bob was very mission driven. He said to me on our very first coaching call, I still remember this. I was in Las Vegas at a conference and we were having our first call, first client I work with at Early to Rise. And he said, listen, Galel, whatever it is that you have for me as far as a coaching plan, I've got to make sure that I can still be in touch with my passion, which is animals. He has a heart for animals, specifically for reptiles. People know him as the snake guy. guy.
Yeah,
right?
he is all over the world getting snakes.
And truly, Bob is one of the foremost amateur authorities on reptiles in the United States, in North America, if not the world. Massive following on social media. And so with Bob, it was that he wanted to be able to work less, scale the business, but also wanted to make sure he was able to go out chasing snakes. Yeah. And so we said, okay, Bob, we're going to help you do this. And what we found was similar to most of our clients when they first start working with us, they're doing too much. And they're doing too much of the wrong things. They're mistaking activity with productivity. And so what we did was he had a team member who we empowered Bob to basically lay out the framework for her using what we call the A-player agreement. The A-player agreement, as a coach on Early to Rise's team, I fill out an A-player agreement and have signed that from the day one of working with Craig, right? All of our team members have an A-player agreement that basically says, these are the expectations, this is what we expect, and you're going to be in the top 5% of your industry. So we equipped his operations assistant with the A-player agreement, and we offloaded the things that really Bob shouldn't have been working on. So what that did was it freed up his time to do selling, because Bob's got a great personality. If you were to meet Bob, you just fall in love with the guy. And so I said to him, Bob, we need to get you out in front of more people. And so through this process, because he was handling less of the paperwork side of the business, that freed up his time for selling. Allowing him to sell meant he had to travel to different parts of the country. And so we then created a strategic plan where he was able to not only chase reptiles and snakes in different parts of the country, but also got to see those reps, those sales reps that he works with, and be more visible.
It was double reps. He was seeing the reptiles and the sales reps.
I never have put those together, and
reps.
now I'm going to use that.
Yeah,
reps, right?
Reps squared.
So reps squared. And so as a result of Bob being more visible with reps squared, right? Yeah. Reptiles and those sales reps, that led to an increase in sales right off the bat, because now he was more visible. And on top of that, then we said, how do we further scale this even more? Because again, Bob wants to be able to travel the world. He wants to enjoy his life with his amazing wife, Julie. And so we introduced the concept, we started talking about having a channel manager. So we hired another person who's going to be basically an internal sales rep to free up Bob's time further. And then this channel manager has helped Bob identify the areas where there's low performing reps and that they're just not moving. And so then they're just replacing those sales reps. And as a result of this activity now, Bob has allowed us to share that he has broken his sales record. His goal for this year was going to be, previously was $5 million, then $7.5 million for 2025. It is, as the date of filming, it's the middle of September. He's now over $7.6 million and still has a few months to go in 2025.
Yeah, so when he came to us, it was $2.5 million.
$2.5 million,
yep. $5.5 million, and this year will be probably $10 million.
Yes.
All by using these hidden levers that he was able to pull in business from working with Galel. Now, when someone comes to you stressed and overwhelmed and spinning their wheels, what's the process that you use to start getting them their focus back?
So it is, first off, the client has to be willing. That's number one, right? In order, if you're going to a doctor and you're asking for help with your health, you have got to be willing to hear the brutal reality of, here's your blood work and here's how you're going to have to change your lifestyle. Yeah. So number one is having a willing participant. That's number one, mindset wise. When the person's a willing participant, the next thing is doing a brutal clarity audit, where we take an intake and we learn about their business and what it is that's hanging them up. And from that, we've become really good at spotting certain patterns with people. And in that, then helping them identify, well, here's what you really should be doing, and you're not doing those things. Here's what you're doing too much of. Here's what needs to be delegated. And here's what needs to be completely removed from your plate altogether. And so the very first thing is doing an audit. And that's in our intake work that we do with our clients within 24 hours of them joining our program.
Yeah. And so that's one of our AI tools that we use, the calendar cleanse. Can you walk us through another specific example of how you use AI or automation to help another client grow their business?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of them is a very simple one that has become a huge hit has been my copywriting bot. So what I've done is I've taken information from Craig, information from myself, and I've created a copywriting bot that basically allows you to audit your sales copy and tells you what you need to fix in your copywriting. Because I wanted to be able to improve my own copywriting. That's where I developed it from. And then I had clients test it out, and now I have clients doing it all the time, and it's led to massive results. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars in new revenue that's been created just by using our copywriting AI tools.
Amazing, amazing. So shifting gears, we've coached a lot of ambitious entrepreneurs. What are some of the personal lessons and mistakes that have shaped your coaching philosophy the most? And even your personal story.
Yeah. So, you shared in the book Unstoppable about how anxiety and panic attacks really took you to a dark place where you knew you had to change something.
Yeah.
The following that I'm going to talk about, it's kind of a sensitive subject, but at the age of 22, I was, had been married for a year now. I nearly took my own life at 22 years old. I was so anxious, so depressed, and I was making more money than I'd ever seen because I'd allowed myself to be consumed by doing. And there was this pressure of how am I going to continue to perform? And I really didn't want to let people down. And so I thought, oh my gosh, I made $60K. How am I going to do it the next month? And I was working 60, 70, 80 hours a week and not taking care of myself, not doing my brain dumps, not learning how to breathe, like I know you've talked about in previous episodes. And so I just was so dysregulated as a human that it threw me completely off kilter, and I literally nearly self-destructed. That led to a lot of bad habits. I was drinking way too much alcohol. My wife in my marriage was, surprisingly in an okay place, but I just wasn't showing up as the husband I knew that I could be. And thankfully, we did not have kids at the time. And it took me to a real rock bottom moment. There's a lot of us who can kind of think of this time in our lives where we hit that rock bottom point where it's like, it's going to be the end of me or it's going to be a new beginning. And so I thank God. I'm a very much a faith-based person. My faith really drives everything in my life. And so I was surrounded by great people who gave me wise counsel and got me to work on myself. So taking care of my health again, eating the right foods, getting the right systems in place. I started learning about time management and productivity at that time, and went as far as actually getting a master's degree in performance psychology because I knew that I wanted to prevent other business owners from hitting the point that I hit, which was rock bottom. And that just became my life's mission, is that through my work, what gets me up every day is to help millions of entrepreneurs with stress and anxiety prevent burnout, anxiety, and depression that can come from owning a business by teaching them our systems.
Yeah. So one of the miracles that you've worked as a coach here at Early to Rise is with their client. We'll call him AC, right? And so AC had bipolar tendencies, and he was an entrepreneur that got himself into a lot of trouble.
Yes.
And at his lowest low, he owed a lot of money, and he was in a very tough situation with a bad business.
Yeah.
And in the last year, what you and the other coaching team members have done for him, nothing short of miraculous. How did you help him through these tough times? I mean, this guy was in a world of hurt.
So it's number one, I had to bring AC down to the roots, right? What is it that matters to you in life? And to him, it's a very straightforward answer. My wife and my children. I said, great. Same thing for me.
Yeah.
I know it's the same thing for you, right? And so getting him focused on everything that you do is going to have a trickle-down effect on your wife and children. And getting him to reframe that these weren't just business decisions, these weren't just financial decisions, but these were decisions that were going to affect the whole family. And getting him to focus also on one day at a time.
Yeah.
So one of the things with this client, he was drinking too much because drinking was a way for him to cope. I think a lot of people would be driven to that.
Sure.
So this isn't to shame anybody, make you feel bad, but it's like,
that the weight of the world 100 times was on his shoulders.
Absolutely.
He had made mistakes.
Of course.
And it was a tough spot.
It's a very tough spot. And so we got him to, hey, let's not drink tomorrow. Let's not drink the next day. Let's not drink the following day. And just that, and him not drinking alcohol, was a major shift. Huge clarity, improved his sleep, improved his wake up times, started creating consistency in his calendar. With that consistency in his calendar, now guess what? He didn't feel as out of control. control. Because while there was all these things happening out here that were outside of his control, what could he control? What time he woke up and what time he went to bed. And then we can control the activities done in between that time. And so we got him moving forward and focused on, okay, understand, AC, all these things are happening in your life. What can you control? Well, I can control how I think. I can control this. I can control this. I can control this. And in doing those things, he's put himself, I can't take credit. We've helped, but he has put himself on a major path for a big, big comeback.
It's really unbelievable. The accountability, the fellowship you guys provided him. You were the rock. We call Galel the rock in our business because he's been the rock for so many people, going through hard times, but also the consistency and the people that are having amazing results. You're the rock who's always there for them. And that, being able to be consistent and having, knowing as an entrepreneur, knowing that you can depend on someone is really sets them free.
No, and I appreciate that. And it's my favorite nickname I have because I love Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah, sure.
He was my favorite wrestler growing up, The Rock. But also because, there's a lot of folks in life who they look at their bad times and they are ashamed of their bad times. I have them as a badge of honor. If not for the bad times, that it's not that again, to throw my faith into it, I don't believe God punished me by this. I think God said, Galel, one day, I know you're asking me why. Someday you're going to be thankful for this. And it's true. It gets me still emotional to this day when I think about that. Now I look back at those tough times and I'm so grateful because I wouldn't be here today without those hard times. Those hard times turned me into a coach, and so if you're going through a tough time, these times they're going to forge you into stronger steel. I know it sounds cliche, but I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it with our clients' lives.
Yeah. And, the most important thing is what you said there is that our clients are going through these tough times and they have us as coaches to help them through it. And now, combining a bit of the theme there is that for some people, things might seem out of control right now.
Yeah.
And things are moving very fast with AI coming into the entrepreneur space.
Yep.
You are an optimistic guy around it. So what do you see as the biggest opportunities for entrepreneurs in the next 2 to 3 years to incorporate that into their business and actually make their business better because of it?
Sure. No, I love AI because, as I've shared many times, I've got ADHD. And so with ADHD, my brain's going a million miles a minute. And it's harder for me to focus on one single thing. And so my brain and ADHD entrepreneur brains tend to be cluttered, let's say, right? While you're trying to do one thing, you're hearing this voice telling, hey, you should be working on this thing, right? And so the big opportunity with AI, Craig, is the fact that it is a tool that exists right now that's going to help entrepreneurs gain so much clarity, where it allows you to take a lot of data and simplify it, right? Here's all these areas of my business. Help me find these areas of opportunity. Here's this stuff that I'm doing. Here are my outcomes. How do I improve this? And so I'm using it constantly to get feedback even faster than before, where I have clients that I'm teaching them how to use AI properly, like using our tool, like our Calendar Cleanse AI tool. They'll run their calendar through that. They'll give me the output. And then with that, I'm able to give them better feedback. Because it's already gone through the process. And so it's going to just be better and it's just going to improve over time at helping people take what's going on here, get them clarity, as well as the automation type stuff, right? Where you're going to be able to have repetitive tasks that you can do it now. It's just a little bit more complex. It'll get easier over time to have repetitive tasks done for you through AI. And so the sooner that people embrace it, the better they're going to be set up for success.
That's amazing. Super excited about this. So if someone feels stuck and they want to start scaling their business, they mean man, I like Galel. I need to be able to speak with him on AI, or whether it's just I need the rock in my life. What does it look like to work with you, and what's the best way for someone to start the conversation?
Yeah, first way to start the conversations, go to earlytorise.com/coaching. Right there is where you can fill out the coaching application or send me a DM on Instagram at Galel Fajardo. That's an easy way of being able to get a hold of me and seeing what opportunities exist out there.
Or just drop Galel down underneath this video.
Yep.
And it's It's GALELFAJARDO on Instagram. And you can also go to support@earlytorise.com and send us an email there as well. Because Galel helps so many of our clients, but he's also like kind of a coach to me in the marketing of our business. Is a very important part of putting out our ads, our YouTube videos, our emails that may have brought you here. And so if you're wondering, does his stuff really work? The fact that you're watching at this point is the proof that it does. So I'm Craig Ballantyne from Early to Rise. Looking forward to working with you, having you work with Galel, seeing you scale your business and kick all those struggles that you have to the curb.